Hello everyone, and welcome back to Turkish series stars. I'm thrilled you're here, because today's topic has exploded across timelines and group chats, catching even the most seasoned fans off guard. We're diving into a twist no one predicted, a headline that left thousands frozen in disbelief and millions asking the same question: what is actually going on? As you've likely noticed from the title, we're unpacking the bombshell surrounding one of the most admired faces of our screens. The chatter about a possible retirement has intensified, and tonight we're going to break down what's being whispered, why it might be happening, and how it could reshape not just a career, but an entire corner of pop culture that many of us hold close. Get cozy and brace yourselves, because this is going to be emotional. And before we plunge into the heart of it, a quick reminder. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe to Turkish series stars, smash that red button, and turn on the bell so you never miss an update. You know we keep you plugged into the stories you care about. Let's get straight to it. The rumor that Cemre Arda may be stepping away from acting hit like a thunderclap. Cemre, whose performances have charmed audiences from primetime households to international streaming fans, has been the face of complex heroines and high-voltage romance arcs. The talent, the magnetism, the presence that feels so natural yet so meticulously crafted, she's become one of those names you mention when you talk about modern television that actually moves people. That's why the first murmur of a withdrawal sparked a chain reaction. How could someone who seems to be operating at full power, in the center of great scripts and bigger opportunities, even consider putting it all on pause? And yet, here we are. Now, let's be clear. There is no official statement from Cemre Arda or her management confirming any permanent exit. Nothing stamped, sealed, and posted. What we do have is a steady drumbeat of reports, anonymous tips, and social media threads that refuse to die down. They sketch a picture of a woman at a crossroads, someone feeling the weight of the spotlight and measuring what it costs to keep carrying it. There are suggestions she's contemplating a quieter chapter, or perhaps channeling her artistry into different lanes. And while rumors should never be mistaken for truth, the persistence, and the timing, suggest that something, somewhere, is shifting. One explanation repeatedly making the rounds is exhaustion. It's not the glamorous kind of word you find in posters and premieres, but anyone with a glimpse behind the curtain knows it can define entire seasons of a person's life. The schedules are punishing. The stakes are high. The camera demands 1,000 tiny acts of precision, all while public judgment roars in the background. Long stretches on set turn into entire months lived for a role, and there are periods when 12-hour days are the short ones. You're applauded for being tireless until the day you realize your energy is a finite resource. And with an audience that's always present, every post, every quote, every stray photo. There's pressure that never truly goes dark. That kind of intensity shapes people, and it also drains them. Another thread in this web is the possibility that Cemre wants to reinvent her creative path. Maybe the next act isn't a series at all. Perhaps it's a carefully chosen film, a string of independent projects, a pivot into producing or directing, or even a completely different art form that has been calling to her from the sidelines. Many artists reach a point where familiar successes feel less like a destination and more like a plateau. The only way to feel the spark again is to move away from the formulas, away from expectations, toward the unknown. People who follow Cemre's interviews know she has spoken about curiosity, about playing with textures of character that don't always fit primetime. That curiosity could be the compass guiding her now. And then there's the most personal factor of all: life beyond the lens. Fame demands constant openness, it erodes privacy, steals time, and makes normalcy a luxury. More than a few voices in the industry have stepped back not because they fell out of love with acting, but because they fell out of sync with the life it forced them to live. With Cemre, a beautiful layer has unfolded in the last year, her union with Gökberk Yıldırım. Their chemistry off-screen mirrors the tenderness fans adore on-screen, and their partnership has added warmth to everything we see. Friends of the couple have hinted, gently, that creating a home and protecting their inner circle has become central. Building a foundation takes time, and time is the one thing a runaway success never gives freely. It's possible that this shift isn't a goodbye to art, but a hello to a more carefully guarded version of it. Let's talk about Gökberk Yıldırım in this story, because you can't mention Cemre's new chapter without acknowledging the presence of someone whose career also demands energy, focus, and choice. People close to them describe Gökberk as solid, grounded, and mindful of balance. He knows the adrenaline and the attention can be blinding, and he's been quietly supportive of setting boundaries that keep them sane. If Cemre is weighing a pause, even temporarily, it wouldn't be a surrender. It would be a deliberate act to make space, for health, for love, for projects that feel like genuine growth rather than obligations. While we wait for an official word, fans have been louder and softer at once, louder in their devotion, softer in their demands. On social media, you can find the full spectrum: heartbreak, nostalgia, tributes to favorite scenes, and a chorus of voices saying, "We'll be here, whatever you decide." It's the kind of response that proves what her work has meant. People didn't just watch Cemre, they felt her. They saw themselves in her character's courage, their vulnerability, their fierce insistence on a better ending. That connection doesn't vanish because the set lights dim for a while. It's also worth noting that the word retirement in entertainment rarely means forever. Plenty of artists step back. They recharge. They learn, they explore, they live. Then they return with sharper edges, brighter colors, new instincts that only time away can teach. If Cemre does step out of the weekly grind of series television, it could be a step toward a different kind of spotlight: films with festival buzz, collaborations with directors who thrive on risk, even creative ventures beyond acting that surprise us. The shock is real, but the hope is just as real. Sometimes distance is the only road back to genuine passion. Looking at the bigger picture, a permanent exit by Cemre Arda would undeniably reshape the landscape. Producers would feel the ripple, writers would pivot, and audiences would look for that mix of grace and power in new places. But equally true, legacies aren't measured only by years logged on screen. They live in the scenes that won't leave your head, in the characters that feel like your friends, in the way a performance can alter your mood, your day, sometimes your life. Cemre's imprint is already secure. She built something that endures. Behind closed doors, decisions like this involve conversations we rarely see: agents, family, mentors, late-night talks at kitchen counters, quiet drives where the choice takes shape. We don't know her timeline. We don't know whether this is a sabbatical, a pivot, or a brave leap into somewhere entirely new. What we do know is that her compass has always pointed toward authenticity. She's not the type to float with the current just because it's easy. And that is exactly why so many people believe in her, whether she's fronting a series or stepping out of sight for a season. For those of us watching, the best response is simple: respect and support. It's not easy to say not now to a machine that wants you to be available 24/7. It's not easy to protect a marriage when vultures circle and comment sections try to write the story for you. It's not easy to insist on meaning when momentum alone could carry you for years. Yet that's precisely the courage we celebrate, on screen and off. And if Gökberk and Cemre are choosing a path that nurtures their bond, who are we to call it anything less than brave? Let's circle back to the rumors themselves. Some point to creative fatigue, others to strategic reinvention, others to prioritizing a young marriage and the possibility of building a family in peace. None of these are mutually exclusive. In fact, they often converge into one decision. Slow down, choose carefully, and live deliberately. If you've listened closely to the interviews and watched the way they've handled their visibility, you can sense a quiet recalibration. Less noise, more intention. Fewer red carpets, more meaningful appearances. Fewer projects at once, more projects that matter. Meanwhile, the industry will do what it always does: adjust. Casting directors will search for fresh faces to carry the types of roles Cemre defined. Writers will reimagine arcs that once seemed written with her in mind. networks and platforms will bid on properties that offer the next phenomenon. But every shift makes the original that inspired it even more precious. There's only one voice like hers, one way she lifts a line into something you feel in your chest. Until a clear announcement arrives, it's wise to treat everything we've discussed as possibilities rather than absolutes. Still, the consistency of the whispers suggests a chapter is closing or changing shape. If that's true, it doesn't erase the body of work we love. It adds context to it. It shows us the human being inside the performer, someone who deserves rest, reinvention, and the right to choose what comes next without apology. So, here's where we land. If Cemre Arda does step back from acting, whether briefly or for a longer season, it will be a turning point we'll talk about for years. And if she returns with a project hand-picked for joy and challenge, we'll meet her there with the same loyalty we're showing now. As for Gökberk Yıldırım, his presence in this story isn't just romantic, it's grounding. A partnership like theirs can anchor a life in an industry that often feels like a storm. That may be the real headline beneath the headlines: two artists choosing each other, choosing health, choosing intention. As fans, our role is beautifully simple. Keep watching, keep remembering, keep cheering without demanding. Respect the silences as much as the announcements. Celebrate the work that already exists, and be ready to celebrate whatever follows, even if it looks different than what we expected. Art thrives when artists do. Before we wrap, tell us what you think. Do you believe this pause is real? Do you see it as the prelude to a bold reinvention, a shift toward film, producing, or something entirely surprising? What kind of story would you love to see Cemre embrace if and when she returns? An intimate indie character study, a sweeping period piece, a sharp psychological thriller? And how do you feel about the way she and Gökberk are balancing love and careers in the public eye? Drop your thoughts below, we'll be reading everything. If you found this deep dive helpful, give it a like, share it with your fellow fans, and make sure you're subscribed to Turkish series stars with notifications on. We've got you covered on every twist, every update, every revelation. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and remember, the best stories are the ones that let their authors breathe.